Welcome everyone to this episode of the 929 English podcast. And welcome back, Rachel.
Thank you.
It's wonderful to be able this week to discuss one of the most fascinating parshiot in the Torah, and specifically Rachel as it relates to love on several different levels. Because we have in this week's Parsha Vayigash, the speech that Yehuda makes to Yosef the Viceroy. The speech that leads Yosef to reveal himself to the brothers. And in that speech, Yehuda really addresses the relationship of brothers to one another and the relationship that their father has with Binyamin. So there are a lot of different layers. And then, of course, there's this relationship with Yosef, which is yet to be developed. So what do you make, Rachel, of Yehuda's speech? And why is it that Yehuda's speech is the impetus for Yosef to reveal himself?
It is quite the speech. I mean, there's so much to admire about the speech. First of all, the courage of it. Yehuda standing up and saying, I am willing to be a slave. Just let my brother go. There's the fact he feels this kind of responsibility towards a brother who is a son of Rachel. And we all know what happened 2 parashas ago when Yehuda was in a moment of conflict with a brother who was a son of Rachel. Then he sold him into bondage. Here is willing to buy him out of bondage at his own expense, at the expense of his own servitude. All of that is famous and well known and well analyzed. But when we talk about love, and when we talk in particular about the saga of love and hatred and estrangement and reconciliation that started 2 parashas ago when Yaakov gave a gift, a garment, to show his favor to one son, Yosef, above all the rest, I think that we need to pay attention to another underlying story that's happening in Yehuda's speech. Because the truth is that Yehuda doesn't talk about his sense of brotherly responsibility. When he's trying to explain why he offers himself as a substitute for Binyamin, he's not saying, I love my brother, or he is my brother, I can't let him be a servant and a slave. What he's really saying is, my father loves him, and I can't stand the pain that it will cause my father. And this is a moment that's worth underscoring and pausing and paying attention to. Because the whole story, the whole saga started when the brothers saw that their father favors Yosef over them. They saw this excessive, expressed, maybe better than expressed, tangible, unequal love. And their response was to try and remove the favored son from competition. Their response was to lash out from this place of wounded feeling, of not receiving the love they wanted. Here, Yehuda is acknowledging the same emotional fact, the same emotional reality. My father loves my brother Binyamin more than he loves me. He will care and hurt more if my brother doesn't come back than if I don't come back. But his response is not to lash out. His response is not to get even. His response is to sacrifice himself. There's this common platitude, that to love is to focus more on the love we give than on the love we receive. But like a lot of platitudes, it has a lot of truth in it. And in a sense, what we're watching here is Yehuda accepting the truth of that. Because what he's saying here is, I care about the love I have for my brother. And my desire for my brother, my father, to be happy, more than I care about the fact that I don't receive this kind of favoritistic, that's not a word, this kind of overflowing, excessive love that my brother Benjamin receives from my father. He's accepting it, he's acknowledging it, and he's responding differently to that. And according to Maimonides, this is the essence of tshuva, right? To be in the same position and respond differently.
And I think, Rachel, that it's only fitting that the tshuva in the Maimonidean sense of being in the same moment, that it actually reflects these complicated relationships. The relationships that we've called love, the relationships that we've called compassion, they all seem to come together and Yehuda, who himself was involved. We didn't talk about this love story, but we did passing, Yehuda and Tamar, he was also involved in a complicated love story, but that he kind of, in a sense, he sorts it out. And he's able to understand the role of relationships between brothers, relationships between father and son. And it's only at this moment that we're ready for Yosef to reveal himself. We're only ready for the reconciliation, the rapprochement, but the reconciliation only at this moment when he understands all these aspects of relationships. And I think that's really wonderful that the evolution of the theme of love really plays itself out in this speech.
I agree. And I think that, by the way, we started our discussion of the Yosef and brother saga by talking about how when love gets entangled with power relationships, bad things happen. The truth is that in order for Yosef to reveal himself, he needs to know not only that the brothers learned their lesson on some basic level, he needs to also know that the fact that they're once again in an unequal relationship because he is the one in power and they are not, is not going to lead to bitterness and resentment and the same kind of fracture within the family. So when he sees Yehuda being able to distinguish between the inequality of affection in Yaakov's household and his actions, Yehuda's actions and responses to them, and not merely be driven by bitterness over what his father feels or doesn't feel. Perhaps it's also giving Yosef hope that Yehuda will be able to respond with the same moral maturity, the same emotional and moral maturity to the power inequality between the two of them.
That's a good phrase. That idea of moral maturity that that has been lacking in a lot of ways. That's been lacking, and here finally find in this week's parsha. So this moment in the parsha this week, the moment of reconciliation, is obviously an extremely powerful and dramatic moment. Enjoy the parsha, and we look forward to completing our series on love in the parsha in Breshit next week with all of you.
Thank you, Rabbi Adam. Thank you, everybody.